Welcome to Eloquent's webinar on controlled vocabulary. We're going to discuss your authority records and classification schemes. Such controlled vocabularies allow you to index your materials with a carefully selected list of terms. This facilitates retrieval by letting users select precise search terms, which in turn provide a narrower set of precise results. Some of you may not be using these tables in your system at all, and others may be struggling to keep these lists of terms from spiraling out of control. This webinar will show you how to manage your controlled vocabularies in order to truly assist in cataloging and retrieval. If you see some features here today not available in your current version of Eloquent, give us a call after this presentation to discuss making the necessary configuration changes. Many of them can be made at no additional cost. Also note that some slides are silent and do not feature audio. What kind of searching experience should your users be treated to? Anyone searching through your catalog and using the advanced and precision search should be able to use subject or name authorities or museum or records classifications to obtain more precise and relevant search results. Let's see the value of using a precision search with subject terms. We're going to start with a basic keyword search with the term education. And we get over 3,000 results. So many the system was unable to sort them all. As a user, trying to make heads or tails of this set of results is going to be a challenge. Most of these results are probably completely irrelevant to what I was really looking for. So we'll go back to the main search screen and try a precision search instead. With the precision search, you can select from a variety of access points to build a very specific search. Some of those access points are for your controlled vocabularies. We'll enter the keyword education again in the subject field and click on the magnifying glass to find a specific education-related subject authority. These are our results. You'll notice that some of them have arrows and plus buttons, indicating they belong to a hierarchy of terms. Let's browse up on education and then expand it to see the full tree. We can now see where education fits in, and we can see in parentheses after each term the number of records it's indexed with. If I want to get back to my previous set of results, I can click Restore Search Results. But instead I'm going to select Preschool Education. Having these indexed options in front of me means I can make a more informed decision about my search terms. I can select Preschool now and do a search, and if those results end up being too narrow, I can return and select a different set of terms. But either way, I'm guaranteed a reasonable and relevant set of results. We can enter more search parameters if we wish to narrow the search further. Click Search when we're ready. This time I have 10 specific results. These are much easier to examine than the 3,000 plus I got earlier based on a simple keyword search. So a good controlled vocabulary means your users should be able to enter a general term and have the opportunity to expand that heading to see more specific terms, and vice versa. They should be able to search for a specific term and be able to move up the hierarchy to see the parent terms too. Your users should also be able to enter an alternate or non-preferred term and be given the correct term to select from. They should only be subjected to a single authority record for any given term. Don't make them choose between 2 or 3 nearly identical terms because you've created extras by mistake. Users should also see consistency across all terms. The format for names should be the same, and the format for subjects should be the same, and the format for your classification should be the same. This makes it so much easier to not only browse through their authority search results, but to select their search terms in the first place. And we'll talk about how to make this happen a little bit later. Terms can continue to be helpful to the user after they've gotten their results. Let's take a look at the detail view of one of our search results. Over on the right-hand side with the record's descriptive detail, see the topical subjects line. This section lists all the subjects that have been applied to this record. Each subject is shown with its full hierarchy. If you hover over the term, a window will appear indicating how many other records have been indexed with this term. If you click on the term, you'll get a new window with a list of all of them. If you click instead on the document icon, you'll get a detailed description of the subject term itself. This detail view provides a lot of helpful information about this term, including non-preferred terms, that is, terms you could have put into that subject search parameter in the precision search and been redirected to this one, a hierarchy of broader terms, number of records, and source note about where this term came from. The document icons function the same way here, so we can click on the term's parent, education, and get a detailed description of it. The See Also terms here are helpful for cross-referencing. They can give us ideas on ways to further our search or take it in new but related directions. Let's return to our search results. The Creator field below subjects is also from our controlled vocabulary. We can hover over this term to get a count of related records and click on it to get a list of them. We can also click on the document icon to get the detailed view of this creator. Now that we've seen how helpful a controlled vocabulary can be, the next question is how do you develop one, and how do you get it easily entered into your database? Because these terms live in a separate table, you can enter them once and connect to them multiple times from multiple records. For example, instead of including the same author information on every title record, create an entry in the Names Authority table for that author, and then connect to it from the title record. Instead of including the same biographical or administrative history to every record related to someone, create an entry in the Names Authority table for that person or corporate body and connect to it from your various archival descriptions. The best strategy is always to put some thought into this and build out your set of terms before you create a single authority record in the system. Some industries and regions have pre-made standard lists that you can use, like the Art and Architecture Thesaurus, the BC Thesaurus for British Columbia Archives, Nomenclature 3.0 for Museum Cataloging, ARCS, or LGMA for Local Government in BC. Library of Congress, Library and Archives Canada, and OCLC also provide authority records for the taking. Sticking with an industry standard is a good start. However, there are usually some areas that are specific to your institutional holdings that aren't as well covered, or perhaps it's the other way around, where your standard goes into extraordinary detail and is just not necessary for what you have. You will almost definitely need to make some adjustments, either in adding terms or removing them. I want to stress the importance of starting off with a complete product. While it's easy to update, add, or delete the authority records themselves, it's not as easy to deal with the potential ramifications for all the records you've already described and cataloged. If you add a new term, do you then go back and reevaluate all of your records and titles, or risk relevant records not being accessible via that new term? If you delete a term, all those records will have lost an access point and part of their description. If you update a term, then you better be sure it's still relevant and appropriate for all the records to which that term has been assigned. You should think of your authority records as a complete body of work, not as a loosely connected collection of terms. If you start down that road, it becomes too easy to start making changes ad hoc, and next thing you know, you've got a mess on your hands. If you think of it as a body, a structured and organized set of terms, then you'll realize that every change you make needs to be considered in the context of the whole. I also recommend building out your authorities in a hierarchical structure. If you're using an existing thesaurus or set of subject headings, this has most likely been done for you. The advantage of the hierarchy, of having general terms that get more specific, is the ability to provide greater context to your chosen terms. I'll show you some examples later where hierarchy has been thought of but not applied. You'll see how much nicer it is to search with a real hierarchy of terms. This is also the time to decide upon your formatting standards. Again, some industries have standards you should follow, like the AACR2 cataloging standard for libraries. If you're borrowing a set of terms from an existing source, then you just need to copy their style over. Once you have your plan, you can use the single entry screens for detailed data entry, or spreadsheet form entry screens to get it in fast, or let us do a mass import for you. I'll take you through a number of examples from all our systems to give you an idea of not only how the data entry process will go, but what fields and types of information you should be thinking about when putting together your set of terms. Library first. In Eloquent Library, there is only the one form for all your authorities, so this includes authors, subjects, illustrators, and series titles. You'll find the entry forms in your menus under a heading called Authority Control. Select the appropriate authority type from the drop-down. You can customize this list for the exact type of authorities you wish to track. In this form, you get to enter the following: name, authority type, and description. See also is for terms that are related, but not in a direct hierarchical way. It's more of a horizontal relationship. See from contains entries for non-preferred or alternative names or terms. This is where you might put alternative spellings, common misspellings, or nicknames. So if someone searches under one of these alternative names, they will be redirected to the correct authority. At the bottom there is broader term. This is where you link a narrower term to a broader term to create a hierarchical relationship. The name field is one especially for which you will need to decide on formatting rules. If you're creating a name authority, it's common to see last name, comma, first name, and sometimes comma or dash, birth and death dates. Please consult whichever standard you're following and at the very least be consistent. The archive system separates name from subject authorities. We'll take a look at name authorities first. Name authorities include archival collection creators, corporate entities, functions, and geographic names. Select the appropriate authority type from the drop-down on the entry screen. You can customize this list for the exact type of authorities you wish to track. This example is for the Canadian National Exhibition. It's been classified as a function. There is no superior body in this case, but there is a predecessor body. Before the CNE, there was the Toronto Industrial Exhibition. So when organizations or functions change names, or a new one takes over an old one, you're going to want to create a new authority record with its own descriptive details, and then link it to the old one through the predecessor bodies field. Also note further down the administrative history field. The non-preferred names field is the equivalent of the See From field we just saw on the library form. This is where you will enter alternative names, spellings, and nicknames. So if someone searches the authority tables with one of these terms, they will be redirected automatically to the correct preferred term. If you don't use this field, and people try using a more common or colloquial version of the authority term, they won't be able to find the correct one. See Also is for terms related in one way or another to the main authority heading, but not to a superior body or predecessor or a successor, not in a hierarchical way. We also have fields for begin and end dates, as well as a biographical sketch field if this record were for a person or a name authority. This next example shows you a geographic authority type. You'll see here the geography area of the form filled out. By providing the latitude and longitude, you're going to automatically get the Google Maps icon show up on any search results that have this authority tied to them. Your other option is to provide the zip or postal code, which is right above this section in the form. Now we also have batch entry forms using Eloquent Spreadsheet for authorities. These forms have the basic fields available and allow you to enter many records at once. This form shows you 9 authorities being entered below the Superior Body TTC authority record. You get the name, non-preferred terms, and authority type fields to fill out. You can use these batch entry forms to enter new data or to modify existing data. They can be very helpful in cleaning up your terms and in creating a hierarchy. You can view the detailed description for the superior body by clicking the View button to the right of that field. Subject authorities function the same as name authorities in the archive system. While name authorities are for keeping track of proper names, subject authorities are for keywords and topics related to your records. These can also be organized into a hierarchy of terms, broader terms to narrower terms. The form is slightly different. Here we get the authority name and a scope note explaining the appropriate use and meaning of the term. In this example, there are no non-preferred terms, but we do see a broader term showing the hierarchical structure of the subject terms. And we see See Also for other related terms. You can click on that View button here as well to get a detailed description of this related term. Note that the broader and narrower terms are linked, so you can click on them for more detail as well. Batch forms are also provided for subject authority entry. These use broader term as the higher level in the spreadsheet. And as with any forms in Eloquent, we can work with you to customize these for your needs. Classification is a function used by both museums and records. It's a bit of a different creature, but many of the same ideas apply. You want to see a hierarchical structure moving from the general to the specific, and you want to map this out ahead of time and make your changes sparingly. Museums use a structured and controlled list of terms for human-made objects that's based on function. It's often referred to as nomenclature, but in Eloquent Museum you're going to find it under classification scheme. The form is quite simple. You get authority name, which often has a specific format. You have broader term, or your parent classification. You also get description, See Also, and See From, the same as in the previous forms we've looked at. The source note can be used to give credit to the particular classification scheme you're using. In this case, these terms have been imported from Nomenclature 3.0 for museum cataloging. This field appears in many of the other forms and can be used to give credit to LGMA, Library of Congress, Art and Architecture, or whoever you're taking your terms from. Eloquent Museum also provides you with a spreadsheet form for classification. You select your broader term and fill in as many child classifications as you have. Again, if you click on View next to the broader term, you'll get a pop-up detail display. This can aid your data entry. Records classification is often functionally based and designed to cover all the functions and activities carried out by an organization in the course of business that produce records. Records classification schemes usually use numeric or alphanumeric codes, though some places use thesauruses. These codes are central to the organization of the system, so you're going to see some different fields available on these forms. In the top section, there's the higher level field, which serves the same function as broader term. Notice that the higher level term has a code at the beginning. 2 fields down, after the name of the classification term that we're entering right now, is the sequence code. This code will be appended to the one above to form the complete classification code for this level. Then we have description, which gives a brief blurb about what kinds of records fall under this classification, and then synonyms, which is a new name for the non-preferred and alternative terms field. Cross-reference is like the See Also fields. It's for related classifications that aren't in the direct hierarchical line. Then we have elements specific to the records management field, like retention and disposition, legal citations, and office of record. Here's the spreadsheet entry form for records classifications. We have the higher, parent-level classification at the top, and all the sub-classifications below. We have name, codes, description, and the other record-specific fields that are necessary for any given classification. You'll need to develop rules, and remember to document them, for assigning these terms to your records. The general rule is to index with the lowest, narrowest terms. There's no need to assign the whole hierarchy of terms and include all the higher, more general ones. The lowest ones imply the upper ones, and as you've seen, subject terms are always displayed with their full tree. Another rule of thumb is to assign only a handful of terms to any given record. Choose the ones that have the most meaning for that record. If you assign too many, the meaning of that record gets lost. If you assign too few, then you're not helping anyone understand what this record is about, and you're not helping them find it. Library first. Here's an example of where you'll want to make use of your name authorities when cataloging a new title, and that's with the author field. You'll perform a search very similar to the one we used earlier on the public search page with the precision search. Type in part of the author's name and click Find. A new window will pop up with a list of matching authority terms. Select the correct one and click Take. The author's authority record has been linked to this title. Museum next. When you're cataloging an artifact in the museum system, you'll turn to the object name field for the nomenclature term. Remember that you can hover over those question marks at any time to view help for a particular field. Click View here again for a detailed display of the nomenclature term. Here you see a nice hierarchy of terms, all with document icons offering further descriptive detail. You can also click on the Preview button for this record, or any record, and see a summary of all the data entered on that page. Note that several of these controlled vocabulary fields are linked and ready to display more information. In Archives, where record description is also hierarchical, you'll want to apply authority terms to the highest possible archival description level. Assume that if a series has been tagged with a certain term, then that term also applies to the files and the items below it. There is no need to repeat. This example is from the Jack Layton file. You'll see under Biographical Sketch, a link has been made with the name authority for Jack Layton. Further down the page are the access points, with plenty of available entries for both name and subject authorities. We saw earlier how to look up and add an existing authority record in the library system. This time, I'll show you how to create a new record on the fly, which should of course only be done after determining that the needed record does not exist, and it should. You can go directly to the Create button, or you can type in the new authority name first. This opens up the authority entry forms we were looking at earlier. Select the authority type and complete the form. When you click Save, this window will close and you'll be brought back to the archival record page. Our new authority is now listed. Now to records. This example shows creating a number of virtual folders. Each of these folders will be assigned a common classification in the field above. To search for that classification term, type in a keyword and click Find. Tag and take your desired classification. When you return to the form, your classification term has been linked. Complete the rest of the form and remember to click Save. Now that you've seen how powerful controlled vocabularies can be in aiding a search, how to develop them, enter them into your database, and index your records with them, the last step is managing them. How can you maintain control and keep these lists of terms from running amok? One solution is reporting. You can monitor your authorities and classification schemes using our reporting features. It's possible some of these report options are not currently available in your system, so give us a call to remedy the situation. You can perform searches from a variety of places in the system. See the next screen for examples. So when you do a search, you can search for all of your terms or just a subset. You can then select all hits or individually tagged terms. Then use the Go menu to select a specific reporting option. Some reports will display immediately and others will export. If you choose an exported option, the system will send a text file to your inbox and you can open it in Excel. You can also use some of these search screens to search for new authorities created or modified during certain periods of time by certain users. Use it for auditing. It's a good way to keep tabs on how your authorities list may be changing. Here's an example of what that exported report might look like. If you have a large number of terms, exporting is a good idea because it allows you to browse through and identify issues using Excel's sorting and searching functionality. Identify the issues, and then come back into your Eloquent system and fix them. Here's an example of another type of report. This one is a detail display report. A good way to use this one is if you find you have two near identical terms, you can then compare their details side by side before making a decision on which is the more correct or the more complete term. Records classification has another reporting option through its public search. Select classifications to add to your list and then choose to view that list. Select a reporting option from the drop-down, and then view, save, or print the report. A hierarchy display is helpful for seeing the whole classification set in one look, where you can check for consistency and structure. Now here's something I bet you didn't know you could do in Eloquent. You can easily clean up your duplicate authority records. If you're coming into Eloquent with a mess of imported terms, or if your terms have gotten out of control since then, and you now have 6 different terms, all for essentially the same thing, you can use the redirect and flag is deleted utility. So what you'll do here is select the correct term, and then Eloquent will go through all of the records that the incorrect terms are assigned to. It will retag them with the correct term, and then delete the incorrect ones. This utility is available in the administrator account. The last menu item is redirect and flag is deleted. Here you can select from name authorities or subject authorities. Search for your duplicated terms. In your results window, your next steps should be taken very carefully. The first checkbox you mark is for the correct term. Subsequent checkboxes marked are for the incorrect terms. Eloquent remembers which was your first selection. Anything left unchecked will be ignored. Then select Redirect and Flag is deleted from the Go menu and let the process run. It might take a while depending on how many records need to be retagged. The live presentation of this webinar featured a demonstration of the functionality we've just seen. Call us to arrange a one-on-one demo to see for yourselves. Let's review. We saw how much the quality of your search results can improve when you make use of a controlled vocabulary. We went from over 3,000 more or less random results to 10 precise ones. Having the opportunity to select specific terms allows users to better shape their queries and be rewarded with more relevant results. There are several publicly available sets of terms that you can make use of, or you can develop your own. Make sure you're selecting a set that match the breadth and the depth of your holdings. Organize them into hierarchical structures if possible. We went through the various data entry screens for each of the systems and linked these index terms to catalog records with ease. We also went through a variety of reporting options and how those can point you towards corrections that need to be made in the system. You can use the spreadsheet forms for reorganization, or use the redirect and flag as deleted cleanup utility to take care of duplicate term entries. Here's a screenshot stolen from a guide from the Vermont state government on authority control gone amok, and it sums things up nicely for us. We've got some great examples of how inconsistent naming can get wildly out of control. So what happens is that neither your users nor your catalogers know which term to select, which one is the right one, and so you end up with one title indexed with that term and 98 over there and 2 over here. So it's going to be a challenge to get all of your Mark Twain titles back in the same search. A user might not even realize they're not getting all of the possible results back. And then we see the same problem in the next example with Princess Diana. So what you need to do is find a guide and get your formatting straightened out and standardized. And then you can use the redirect and flag as deleted utility to get rid of all of the duplicate terms. Thank you for viewing this presentation. Many of the features you've seen here are available at no additional cost. Please contact us to request details on registering for the next session of this webinar, or to arrange a one-on-one demo if you'd like to get a closer look at the Eloquent system. We welcome all questions and feedback.